Grown Up Group. This is a podcast by regular people tackling the world from a Black perspective. Today, I'm joined by Victor, Kira, Jazz, and myself, Ty. In today's session, we will be celebrating Black History Month. We will give you 5 people who have influenced us personally, and we think the rest of the world should know about them. So let's dive in and let's start with Kira.
All right, so my first person is Sarah Bartman. Sarah Bartman was a Khoikhoi woman who was exhibited as a female attraction in 19th century Europe under the name Hottentot Venus, a name which was later attributed to at least one other woman similarly exhibit. So my second person is Bessie Coleman. Bessie Coleman was the first African-American woman to hold a pilot license in June of 1921. Girl power, okay. She earned the license at a Federation Aeronautic International. My third person is Janet Braggs. Janet Braggs was the first female to hold a commercial license. My fourth one is Mary Church Terrell. And Mary Church Terrell was an American civil rights activist journalist, also the first American to earn a college degree. Yay!
There we go.
And I had to do girl power all. So my last one is Otis Boykin. Otis Boykin was a Black African-American inventor. And some of his inventions, to name some of the few, were the electrical resistors used as in computers, which is, thank him for that, because we need that now.
Mm-hmm.
The missile guidance, and my favorite, the pacemaker, keeping people alive for thousands of years.
There you go.
And that's my 5.
That's a great 5 right there. Why did they influence you? I know it was all girl power, but why did they influence you the most?
Well, I was teaching my daughter, because in the schools they only teach Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. They don't show you these people. They don't show you that there's other inventors and other people, Black American inventors from that time that did things besides Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks, right? Martin Luther King. I said him already. So I was teaching her there's other people besides the ones that they only teach in school, outside of the school. So that's how Googling, and that's how I came up with them.
Okay, I like that. Yeah. Okay, that was a very informative list. I applaud those people because they brought in some great inventions. They are very influential. I like for people to have knowledge. So I'm happy that we're doing this session for that reason, because I want to step outside of those 5 typical Black, people that they teach us in the books, and they don't give us the history of our further inventors, people that actually have civil rights activism in them, all of the causes that we've stood behind all these centuries. And it's like, oh, you get 5 people and a mention in the book as an honor. That's not an honor, especially come Black History Month. I think we should be shouting this information from a mountaintop. I'm going to move over to Jazz so she could give us her 5 most influential individuals that we should know about. So Jazz, please take it from there.
My 5, starting with Stacey Abrams, a Black American politician, a lawyer, voting rights activist, and an author who served in the Georgia House of Reps from 2007 to 2017. And also, when I did it's more information, not only that, but she was a member of the Democratic Party. She founded the Fair Fight Action, an organization to address voter suppression, in 2018. And in 2020, the presidential election, when Joe Biden narrowly won the state of Georgia, but she won. So that was that's that one. And then there's another one, which I found interesting. The C.R. Patterson and Sons Company built the first American-owned automobile manufacturing company. And matter of fact, I think it was called the Patterson Greenfield automobile debuted in 1915. It had a 4-cylinder Continental engine comparable to that of the Ford T model, which I never even heard about them before. Never.
Yeah.
Then the other one, my other one is Frederick McKinley Jones for development of refrigeration equipment, receiving over 40 patents. In the 1930s, he began inventing automatic refrigerated air conditioner cooling units for trucks, trains, ships, and planes, which helped preservation of food of food. He created the Thermo King. His work also contributed to the preservation of blood and medicine, proven to be particularly useful during World War II. Then he had a lot. When I tell you, this man had a lot of stuff that he was it's so much I had to write down because he was just that. I was like, wait, not just that. He had other patents. It was a lot. It was a whole lot. And being as though that he did the refrigeration, it trickled down to trucks, cars, like I said, planes, trains, blood, household refrigerators. And I found out also that we went to go try to install them in vehicles and trucks at first. It didn't go through because the vibration and stuff from the actual like trucks and automobiles or whatever, the vibration like made it malfunction. But he went back in and did it again, and that's how we got air conditioners and stuff in cars and stuff like that now. So then, my third person is a woman by the name of Rosalie Ingram. Now this one was interesting because I had a little violence involved. So it read, she was an African American sharecropper and widowed mother of 12 children, who was at the corner. Yes, it was at the center of the most explosive capital punishment case in U.S. history. In 1940, she became an icon for the civil rights movement and social justice movement. She formed it. Ingram farmed adjoined lots with the white sharecropper named John Ed Stratford in Sly County, Georgia. On November 4th, 1947, Stratford confronted Ingram, accusing her of allowing her livestock to roam freely on his land. When Ingram reminded Stratford that both livestock and the land were owned by their landlord, he struck her with a gun.
Oh.
Yes, struck her with a gun. Then several Ingram sons came to defense, and Stratford was killed by a blow to the head. Huh?
Sound like he got what he deserved.
Oh, absolutely. I wasn't even mad about it. I was like, that's crazy. How crazy is that? And who cares?
Sounded like justice to me.
Right. It said Ingram and four of her sons, Charles, who was 17, Wallace, who was 16, Sammy Lee, who was 14, and James, who was 12. The trial Rosalie and her sons Wallace and Sammy, because I believe they're the older two other children. Yeah. So it lasted one day, held on January 26, 1948 in Georgia. They were sentenced to death. I think the other two sons, they were in charge because again they were minors, and then it was an all-white jury too, of all men. So that was a strike against her. So when I read further, so the other two kids were initially arrested, although James was later released. Charles was tried separately and was released at the conclusion of his trial due to insufficient funds. According to Charles H. Martin, he quote underscored the circumstantial nature of evidence against his mother and his brother. The trial Rosalie, Wallace, Sammy, and the other one, like I said, it lasted one day. They were all sentenced to death. Yeah. And a national outcry happened, and the verdict resulted in the sentence being commuted to a life sentence. Despite the sentencing being withdrawn, public outrage against the harshness of the convictions continued. Although the prosecution suggested that the confrontation between Stratford and Ingram arose from conflict over livestock, later account suggested that Stratford was enraged because Ingram had repeatedly objected his sexual harassment of her. He said in defense, the defense argued that Ingram's son killed Stratford in self-defense. The judge presiding over the case was Judge W. M. Harper. The attorney representing Ingram and appointed her the morning of the trial. See, she had a lawyer appointed to her the day of the trial, instead of having one the whole time. When the execution was scheduled for February 27, 1948, less than 3 weeks later, the U.S. erupted in a protest against the trial and the sentence, which had been conducted in haste and secrecy. Now, mind you, it was in secrecy. They did it real fast and real quick. Somebody would know about it, but somebody caught on to it. The protest against the trial and sentencing, which has been conducted in a haste of secrecy in response to national protests led by Sojourner Truth. I didn't know that. My last person is Dr. Shirley Jackson, who invented the caller ID and call waiting. And in 1995, Bill Clinton chose her as the president of Nuclear Regulatory Commissions of the United States. And in 2014, she was selected as a member of Barack Obama's Intelligence Advisory Board. And in 2016, she was awarded the National Medal of Science. So those are my 5.
Okay.
You should all thank her for that.
Yes,
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. That's the only way to start.
Every time you get your phone to go, You better thank that sister.
Yes, I was
Thank
thinking that. I was
you,
like, every time I was reading on it, I was reading up on it, I was like, yes, thank God.
So I'm gonna ask you the same question I asked Kira. Why
Mhm.
do you feel that those 5 people were the top 5 that you picked? Why do you feel that the most
Oh wow.
influential?
With Stacey Abrams, the vote suppression, she fought hard. The car company, the C.R. Patterson and Sons car company. Now that one I never heard of, like ever. I didn't know it was a black automobile company ever. I think I
Yeah.
maybe heard of one other one, but I don't believe it's I think it was way after that. But I want to say it was. So that's just the automobile in general, like just like how we get around. They contributed to helping with that. And then
Mhm.
Fred McKinley Jones, because the refrigeration, like what would we be around refrigeration? Like really
Right.
with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think those are very, very influential individuals. Any type
Yeah,
of invention, any type of person that's, out there getting their patent, anybody that's
yeah,
pushing and saying, hey, I made a creation is going to benefit the world.
yeah.
I applaud them because that creativity, you think about things all day long and you want to hush up and be like, oh, let me not say nothing. Maybe that already is out there in the world. They were like, nope, this is
Right.
mine. I'm going to create it. I'm going to make
Mm-hmm.
test examples back then. Could you imagine how much harder it was to do that and put a plan forth
Right.
versus it is today? Because we have computers and different, equipment and technology so much
Mm-hmm.
more available to our fingertips than they did back then. They probably had to mail order everything that they wanted to do to build it and test it. So I
Mm-hmm.
applaud those brothers and sisters that actually got out there and did what they needed
Absolutely.
to do and make these creations, because who would have ever thought that they came to life and that it would be so effective to us today. I mean, we use
Right.
call ID, automobiles, all of those things we use today. But I do know, and it's so crazy, I believe the Wright brothers that was
Yep. With the
actually
airplane.
use the planes,
Mm-hmm.
they got
Yeah.
their original invention and some of the pedaling and technology that they were using to build their planes from a Black brother that was an inventor as well. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look it up. I'm gonna make sure he gets
Yeah.
that nod to his name, because only thing we knew is the Wright brothers
Mm-hmm.
that actually created the airplane, but they never let us know like their equipment and materials that they use came
Yeah.
from the brother that already had his patent out there to actually build it. So I applaud those individuals, because that takes a lot of nerve. And you know how many people naysay? You were supposed to go to a job and get an income, not supposed to sit there and be like in la la land dreaming about creating
Right.
things.
Right.
That probably was frowned upon during their era too. So I applaud them because they came up and they actually created it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn to Victor. 5 individuals that most influenced you. I couldn't get it out, but I got it out finally. Who is your top 5, Victor?
All right. My top 5, I will start off with Dr. Charles Drew. Dr. Drew is basically the architect for the bloodmobiles, the long transfer of blood, long transfer of body parts, things of that nature. The brother already kind of started experimenting because he was a smart man. He was already a physician by 1920.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's major. The man was incredible. Um, the way he developed a way for blood to be traveled over long distances in refrigerated trucks.
Right.
It was such a great move. The U.S. Army and Navy decided to use it. Only problem was that they were not taking Black blood. This is during World War II, where they were taking Black
Mm.
bodies. But if you needed, a blood transfusion, it was not going to come from another Black person.
Mm-hmm.
He fought the Medical Association. He was even the director of the Medical Association, during World War II. Excuse me, the American Red Cross. He has fought tooth and nail to get, science pushed forward outside of racial bigotry. You know, Even when, this is at the height of segregation, in
Mm-hmm.
the mid 40s to early 50s, where, like they will take the blood, but they needed to be carried separately,
Right.
as if there was
Mm.
any genuine difference. He had to fight that hard to
Right.
get. He fought so hard that, 1950, he was done. He said, I quit.
Mm. Really?
But the brother didn't live much longer after that. He gave his life so that other people could have more of theirs. My second one is Dr. Rebecca Lee Crumpler. She is the first African American physician in this country ever.
Yep.
She was born the slave mother.
Mm.
She published 2 books. So she published one 2-part book, basically focused on maternity and pediatric care.
Yep.
But she is the genesis.
Yeah.
She is the genesis. There was the first Black girl magic. She waved the wand.
Her.
Absolutely.
No.
That's amazing.
My fourth one is one that I personally liked. So I was like, that's a warrior right there. There's a man by the name of Robert Smalls. He was born in 1839. He was born a slave as well. During the Civil War, as him and other slaves and his family were forced to work for the Confederate ship, he commandeered said ship, bringing all of his people on board, sailing them up the coast to the Northern blockade, joined the Union Army, and when his time was done, he retired from military service. Last Republican House of Representative for the state of South Carolina until 2010.
And what year was that he did that?
Oh, he did that during the Civil War. Yeah, I just love that. He was such a gangster. That's gangster right
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's gangster. I'm going to take
Right.
what I need and do what I got.
Mhm.
You know, my last one is something I think we should all honestly be thankful for this sister for. It is a woman by the name of Marie Van Britten. She was born in 20s. She died in, I think, February 1999. But her, with the help of her husband, because he was also a technician, I believe his name is Albert, they created the video home system, security system
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
we have today, what you put in your cameras, AirTag, all that stuff, all that comes from them. Got it patented around
Mhm.
65. Changed the world. And lastly, I want to talk about a town in Mississippi. Less than 2,000 people as of this year, but it was started by 3 slaves, Robert Owens, Benjamin, and Isaiah Montgomery. It's called Bound Bayou, Mississippi. They had a train station, they had a hospital, they had a school. Place was founded in 1887 and it's here to this day. You know, it's a historical monument, the entire town.
Oh, wow.
You know,
That's
so
amazing.
what
What's the name of that town?
Mound Bayou. Mound Bayou.
Okay.
I think the reason why I chose these is because there are things that we can trace its lineage back to, which I think is important for us, that we never let those roots go, because then someone else will claim them. And you'd be too hard fighting to get them back.
Yep.
Mhm.
It's
You know,
true.
so I wanted to, show, I wanted to really give a highlight and give flowers to people who fought, lived, and died for this. You know, and we can thank them all to this day.
All right, that was a very interesting list. I don't need to ask you why you chose them because you told us about the lineage and, having our history and our background, which I think that's why it's important to get this information out there. I'm going to dive into my 5 that I feel is the most influential to me. I love the fact that you guys went into inventors and, people that had that creativity and basically built things from nothing to something that affected the world, affected their community, affected their environment. That's really huge. And I applaud those people. The individuals I chose, I took it really personal when I chose them because I've had those experiences in life that afford me to know this information. So the first person that I am addressing or speaking of is Thomas Jennings. He was a tailor in New York City. He was actually one of the first persons to receive a patent in 1821. He was a civil rights activist. In addition to that, he created the Legal Rights Association, and it basically, which was a huge part and role in the civil rights movement. I don't think you guys know how much, so let me dive into why I selected my second person, Elizabeth Jennings Graham. And Elizabeth is actually, as you heard Thomas Jennings' name, Elizabeth Jennings Graham is his daughter. So when you talk about lineage, there you are. He passed that baton. He had an only daughter. He, put out in this world. She was a school teacher. She was one of the first women asked to be giving up her seat in a streetcar in New York City in 1854. So this is way before Rosa Parks' era. This is way before them shoving it down our face in our, elementary school books. But she is not talked about and known. And do you want to know why? I'm going to tell you why. She was asked to remove herself from the seat. She refused. And not only did she refuse, she sued and won. Yes, That's why you don't talk about it. That's why they don't put this in our books, because then how would we get the courage to fight for what we need to stand up for? So this is
Mhm.
stricken from our actual books. So they don't speak about her. She won, it was 3rd Street streetcar railroad station, and she sued and won against New York City streetcar companies, and they stopped practicing segregation in 1865 when she won her case. Because if you let one person win, then how many more cases would have came flooding through that door
Mhm.
So the
if
precedent,
segregation was still practiced in 1865? They got rid of it in 1865. What an effect. What a domino effect. I applaud that sister. I applaud her father for giving her a leg to stand on and building her a strong foundation to know to speak up and stand up for herself. Because I said it when I read her father's information, I said that's where she got it from. Remember, we talked about our
Yep.
fathers in our previous sessions, and we
Mhm.
said,
Yep.
if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And I think that's really the example of these two individuals that I chose in this, podcast to represent us in Black history, because it is a father and daughter team, and he had his daughter back. He made sure that he got the Legal Rights Association affected and involved, and then the civil suit case that she actually won against. I applaud them
Right.
tremendously, because we would still be dealing with those, issues today, or much further, or in the
Right.
past, the
it
way
would
that
be
they
on
was.
the
I
books.
think Rosa Parks was highly publicized because she was in the era of the civil rights movement in the
Oh, yeah.
1960s, 50s, and 60s. And I think that's why she was, her case was, more glorified and got, in the records. It was also in the era of Martin Luther King, which then led to
Mhm.
the march. So, I mean, I think that gave them a big flashlight and spotlight on that, but this came way before this. I'm way before. So
Yeah.
I was a little taken back, especially in New York City. You think about New York City as the melting pot of cultures
Right.
today. So to hear that that was what the basis of it was back then and how it came to fruition is great,
Right.
phenomenal. And I'll go into my third person. My third person I picked is an inventor. It is a young lady, may she rest in peace, Alice H. Parker. And she was also from one of our hometowns in New Jersey, Morristown, New Jersey.
Mm.
She was an inventor and received a patent for heat furnacing. So, those
Mm.
boilers and heating systems, she actually had it drawn, sketched, designed, and actually, submitted to receive a patent for it. And unfortunately, before she received the patent, she met her demise in an actual fire and heat, ventilation,
Oh,
and smoke.
wow.
So I don't know if she was in the process of building what she, created, or if she just succumbed to, unfortunate situation. I tried to delve a little deeper in it, which I really would have loved to have heard with the, circumstances surrounding her death. Unfortunately, it wasn't provided to me, but she was an African American inventor, and I applaud the fact that she went to Howard University in 1910. She graduated. She was really strong on her stance of actually, building and creating a heating furnace system. Come on, what could we do without a heating system?
Right.
The
Nothing.
winters would have been rough with just some wood and some,
Very well.
a chimney stove or whatever they had back then. I'm like,
Mhm.
wow. And she actually succumbed to it in 1920. She passed away due
Hmm.
to a fire or heat stroke. They didn't even give the full definition. But she did work as a cook in a kitchen. So I don't know if that's what she came, into her invention for, but I'm like, what an amazing discovery and what she put together on her knowledge of going to school. And I applaud her for that. I actually wanted to state in 2022, there was a photo which they believed it was Alice Parker. It was not her. It was a white woman.
Mm.
Actually, yeah, it was an investigation by Audrey Henderson of the Energy News Network that found the photo commonly said to be Parker, Alice Parker, and it was actually an unrelated white woman born 5 years after Parker's furnace patent was issued. So there we go, falsifying information. It's
Right.
so easy. They're
No,
so
Sam,
easy. I'm
call
sorry.
it what it is. Call it what it is. It's called whitewashing.
There
Right.
we are. I was about to get into it. You cut me off. I was about to say it.
I'm like,
It's easy to slap a picture in a face next to a product and say, hey, That's how they want to sell it, is whitewashing 100%. They whitewashed the situation, the storyline, and made it look like there was a white woman that invented this heating furnace, and it was not. It was a Black sister. And unfortunately, she passed away when she was 20. I think she was 25 years old. 25.
wow.
Wow.
25
was
years
young.
old. But to come and do so much in her 25 years,
Mhm.
I gotta give that woman her flowers. May she rest in peace. And that's why I said it. I'm like, I know all of our people, that, created our inventions, but so 25, so young, and she's done
Yeah.
so much while she was here. So I just want to applaud her for that. And then I also got my fourth person, which is Dennis Malik Barnes. He is a high school student. He was offered $10 million in scholarship for college. And when I read this story, I got to tell you, it sparked something in me because for Generation Z, Gen Z, we give them so much slack and we talk about them so badly. But I'm like, there's some of them out there with so much drive and ambition. And this is an example of that. This young brother, $10 million in scholarships. He has colleges, Ivy League colleges beating down his door in hopes that he joins their school and actually alma mater. I don't know why I couldn't say alma mater. And join their alma mater. And I'm like, that is huge. And I applaud him. He's actually going to be attending Cornell University the fall of 2023, which was last year, but I commend him because of his hard work and dedication. I know we have so many positive stories out there that we don't get in the media and news outlets that need to be brought to light. This is one of them, and I wanted to give him his flowers because I want to say a tremendous feat. There we go. It's a tremendous feat that he's accomplished. So there we go. And he was 16 years old, by the way. I don't know if I said how old he was. He was 16 years as a senior. He was a senior, 16 years old. So that means he graduated almost like a year ahead of his class.
Yeah.
Based on
Right.
his age. So in New Orleans, think about that, New Orleans. In New Orleans, where how much gun violence is out there, and he overcome the odds of that. So I just give a little bit of background on him because of his background, his age, and also the fact that he got a $10 million scholarship. Phenomenal.
Right.
Young man, do your thing. Just don't be a sellout. You be good. Just do your thing.
Yep. The next one I want to give, and I'm sorry if I butcher her name. Her name is, I believe, Shania. It's Shania Muhammad. She graduated Oklahoma's Langston University with a bachelor's degree by the time she was 15 years old. She's from Oklahoma. She graduated from college at 15. There's so many Black invisible, notice the word invisible, scholars that we have. These people go out here, they get their education. She graduates, she got to step out into this world. Think about it. If you got your degree by 15, she's able to join the workforce, or better yet, go get her master's. She gets to live, breathe a little bit. But how much of a tremendous effort she had to give to graduate from Oklahoma's Langston University with a 4.0 grade point average, the highest in her class. Cum laude. There we go. She is it. She is I applaud that. I applaud that sister. I had to go for our younger generations because they get beat up so much. And I know in one of our upcoming episodes, we got a Gen Z session coming up where we ask questions. But this is leading up to that. There's a lot of people in the Gen Z crowd that has made so many huge, tremendous strides. They step out into this workforce, they're going to be a wrecking. They're going to be a force to deal with. I can't imagine. I would love to hear her story in 10 years. I don't think she'll be working for the company. She may own the company. She may be the company. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like,
that's what it sounds like.
They say it's very rare, but I'm starting to hear more of these success stories more and more. I just think that they don't get the media attention that they should, because we don't want to be held in a positive light. They want to hold us in a negative light or whitewash our stories. So I just want to make sure that I give our brother Barnes and sister Muhammad their flowers and just say, they've made tremendous efforts towards the academic and made successful decisions. And I applaud them for that. So those are my 5 most influential. And I want to
Can I
give
jump in?
why. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Because I want to add to Shania Muhammad. She's
What's
also
this?
the youngest. She's also the youngest teacher in the country.
There we are.
Oh, her.
Yep. Young.
Yeah,
Oh, she's a teacher
That
now?
was
I
on
was waiting
TikTok.
for you to say that. She's the youngest
Oh,
teacher
I
in the country.
didn't say it.
Yes.
No, because I pulled up this article of her graduating and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So I commend her. She's the youngest teacher.
Yeah,
What
because she's on
In the
TikTok.
United
And-
States of America. Like 16,
Like,
17. I know. I was like, and she's the youngest teacher in the fucking country.
Shania.
Probably
yeah,
the planet.
Yeah, Muhammad.
right.
That's phenomenal.
Because
And
I
you
seen it on
to give
TikTok.
back and to give back now what she
Mhm.
learned and to be an influence on young, students, man.
How you
Yeah.
the smartest teacher in the country? Your brain ain't done developing. That is insane.
Right.
Right.
Ain't even
Isn't it
25 yet.
crazy?
Like, right.
All
Right.
right. Let me know when she developed time travel, because then I got some cash.
Right.
At this
That's
point,
what's next.
this point, we got
Now
another
look
10
at
years
me,
for my
see
brain
that?
fully developed. We're
Right.
gonna be on Jupiter somewhere thanks to her.
Yeah. So I actually wanted to go into why I selected the 5 individuals that I picked because
Uh-huh.
we talked about lineage, right? And when we talk about lineage, we have our ancestors, we have our slave, we have our grandparents. We move up from 1800s all the way up till today. And we see that what we can do when we have so much pressure applied towards us and against us in society. And that's the norm for us, right? And we still overcome that. And we still say, back in 1800s when we were considered slave, we got over that. We've come over to the situation where we struggle, but we still made the best of our situation and did better than some of our, you know,
Uh-huh.
folks that are in better situations and conditions and weren't allowed those courtesies and given those rights. So how do we surpass them? How do we get over that? And I say that's our power in lineage, right? You see it in our older folks that pass it on to the baton of their younger children and then pass it on to the children that's out now, our future and what's coming today, our generations coming up today. I give every single generation their applause because they need that one. And I think that they really are owed that credit because no one else gave it to them. These stories are
Mhm.
buried until you go research it and look it up.
Mhm.
And when you
Uh-huh.
see what's backing it, it's so who told them that they had that much power back then? Who woke them up even though they were still struggling and had their grandparents and parents be slaves? Who still made them feel so positive and made them have a positive life? So I put this episode together and this session together with you guys in the knowledge of knowing that one, there's strength in numbers. And even though we are the lesser, we are the greater.
Right.
I'm doing that every day with knowing that. And it makes me feel like I'm standing 10 feet tall. And if you're a young Black man and woman walking out there in the world today, I want you to feel that you're 10 feet tall too. Because if they could do it back in the 1800s and be successful,
Mm.
we have been afforded so much more. So we have the freedom and should be allowed those courtesies and make those same strides. And nothing can hold you back besides yourself. So I really
That's
wanted
it.
to put that out there. And I wanted to tell you, I want to show you that from history, from years to years, how much successful we've become as a people. I don't want to talk about the rap music. I don't want to talk about, the entertainers. They get enough, applause throughout their careers.
Right.
I don't want to delve into that. I want to talk about our ancestors that we don't know about and these successful stories that build up to our lineage and our actual success stories. That is amazing. Just hearing it. I am thankful that you guys gave us your 5 most influential individuals. I'm very happy. Anybody want to say anything or add to the content that they already did?
Yeah, I would say we are the most unique people to ever walk the face of this planet. There's been no group of people who's had to deal with the world being civilized around the backs of our enslaved and non-enslaved people. To this day, the world runs like they say with the commercial. The world runs on Duncan. Well, the world
Right.
runs on Black.
That's
It
true.
runs on Black Americans. Everything from whether we're saving your lives to we're turning the tide of war to we're providing you with proper medical care
Yeah. I
to
agree.
everything, clothing,
Yeah.
speech, political ideology, self-defense, the whole 9 yards. The whole
Yeah.
9 yards. And these are ones of countless. I do this as a hobby. And that well is deep.
Yeah.
We could be here for the next 6 hours.
Yeah.
We could easily do it and not touch anybody named Martin Luther King.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah, so, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I agree 100%. I love reading. So I go into my history books. I start to look and I start researching. I hear a name, I start to Google. I can't help
Mhm.
myself. I pull up like, most random things. And I actually encourage everyone else that's actually viewing this to go do that. You'll be surprised all of the cobwebs and all of our people that's been buried in storylines that have made so many different inventions, stories, how we created something and it's been taken from us. How many other of our ancestors as well has been passed off as white once they become,
Right.
a success story because their skin may be much fairer or lighter than, mine or, another African American individual. So I encourage everyone to do their research, look it up, get your history. You need to know your history. You need
Right.
to know. I wish they taught more of this in the history books. I wish they
Mhm.
just simply had a Black history book that they could just say all of the leaders that we've had. There's even presidents that's out there that's before Obama, hello, that was
Right.
Black. And they may have been mixed in half, but they still didn't acknowledge or speak to their Blackness because they weren't allowed to. That was hushed. So
Right.
yes, I encourage everyone to, once you click off of this and you say, you know what was they talking about? Go research it.
Mhm.
You'll be amazed. You'll be amazed at what you find. Yeah, please do. No final thoughts?
Well, I have a final thought. Without Black people, again, where would we be? Where would we be at? Like, where would this country be at? Like,
Yeah.
from the railroads to everything, trains, planes, automobiles, freedom, everything. Like, this country would not move without us. When our dollar, and just in general, the Black dollar in general, if we stopped one day buying anything from them, if we could, they would crash without us. They would. So,
Yeah, I
This
agree.
country would be French in the South, Mexico on the West Coast, and Canada in the Northeast. I'm telling you, that's exactly what this country would be. This country wouldn't be a country; it'd be territories.
yeah,
We'd be Canada, super
yeah,
Canada.
right.
No disrespect to Canada. Shout out to Canada, but we
That's
got
where I'm
Canada.
going next in a minute.
Yeah,
We do have some
viewers.
Canadian viewers.
Yes,
viewers.
I'm not one. I
Yeah.
would never disrespect Canada. I've never been there. I heard it's a beautiful place. I would
Beautiful.
love to go.
Yeah,
I want to
but,
go probably live too. I'm sick of this. But yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're just such a unique people. We have gone through so much throughout our times. We can make movies on these people,
Yeah.
blockbusters.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
These are things that I know they're not going to be taught, and that's okay. It's up to us to continue to teach it. All right, use the tools that we have. If we depend on the school system to do our job, you'd see what it looks like now.
Right.
So let's not depend on the school system.
Right.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I mean, we're just such a strong people. We have to remember that there are going to be ebbs and flows, but we're here forever. We were
Right.
here to turn the lights on. We're going to be here to turn the lights off.
Right. Say that again.
We're here to turn the lights on. We're going to be here to turn the
That needs to
lights
be
off.
a quote on the shirt. That needs to be a quote on the shirt and that will ruffle a whole lot of feathers that we don't care about. I promise you. But yeah,
We're
we're
going to look into
resilient.
that.
We're strong. We're tenacious. Like we never we have. They can complain about us all they want and they'll go back to their country. Baby, it's our country.
Yeah.
You go back to
It's
this
our
hour.
country and they want to be like
We
us.
can't
Country to
we
go
can't
back
go
home
to
to.
we can't go back to a country when we built it on our back. So it's
Right.
right there. The United States is right there
Right.
on my back.
Yeah. You go somewhere else. You mean you want me to go back around the block? I mean, I could do that. But I
Right.
can't go anywhere
Right.
else.
But I can't go. I ain't been. I don't know. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
once saw a shirt and I thought it was hilarious because it was a quote from, the infamous Dame Donald Trump, and it said, "Make America great again." And it said, "Who built it?
Right.
Who built it?"
The blacks and the blacks.
We built it. So
Yeah,
you want
the
to make
black-
something great? Go back to simple days and common days where we were actually in charge and building things and creating things and allowed patents and allowed loans and all of that other, red tape they put around us.
Mhm.
Use the bubble tape and let us be true to our form and watch it be greater than what it was before. So
Oh,
remove
I
the
always
red tape
say-
and watch it be greater than it was before. There we are.
Exactly.
I always
Because we
say
the ones who made it
sometimes you got to
great.
get a black woman to run the country because we can run everything. We run a household. We can run the country.
I always say like the world is the black woman, but yeah, because
Right.
they think about it, the one black woman and man, because it's on our back. They put the world
Yeah.
on our back. They put the
Literally, yeah.
world on our back.
I bet if we
We've
had
been carrying it for years.
You said what?
But if
Victor?
we had Mary Van Patten, she creating the home invasion system. I know the border would be secure, goddamn it.
right.
We be on that border, so we good
Right.
on that.
Yeah.
I mean, she be on
I
that
mean-
border, and
First and foremost, I want to thank everybody for joining the Grown Up Group in our Black History segment. I hope it was just as informative to you as it was for us to research this information and find the individuals that most influenced us. I'm very grateful for you guys being here with us. First and foremost, I do want to say that. And then thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night, day, salutations, all of that. Sayonara, or all of it. There you
Sayonara.
are. Sayonara. And I'm Ty. With Jazz, Kira, and Victor. And this is the Grown Up Group. This is our Black perspective. Have a good one.
we coming for our check.
Right.
Write it out. No, I'm joking. I'm gonna cut that out. That was good, guys.
Yeah.
That was
All
really
right.
good.